I like the tint on this. I'm very, very red.
You are. You're extra Latino today.
I'm like the Red Hulk or Bulk, but one of the two. I've got a very red tint.
That'd be great. What a great superhero that would be. A super Avenger. What happened? Well, he's a little bigger than normal. I don't know.
Just a little bigger, yeah.
Look at you. My goodness. Hi, guys.
It's not even tremendously. It's just he's just a little overweight. That's his power.
We were talking about Leroy Jenkins because that was a that was a
Warcraft.
A Warcraft thing, right?
Yep. Because it's such an intricate game. When you get in these big raids, which means it's a bunch of real life players get together to defeat an enemy, like a big powerful enemy, they plan it all out down to the last detail. Not Leroy Jenkins came in and he just ran in, started fighting things.
And then when you lose, right, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, right? Yeah, so it was 10. It was like 4 hours.
Leroy Jenkins.
Because one of the guys that works is like, we're going to play that today because it's been like how many years it's been. And I'm like, get out of Dodge. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. That's Leroy Jenkins. He's at it again. Oh my Lord. All right, my wonderful, esteemed being. First and foremost, the Diddy stuff. We were just talking about it.
I listen to some of that crazy. But you know what? I haven't heard anything illegal yet. Well, I guess prostitution's illegal.
Drugging women.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I heard some really horrible things, but they were wanting it.
Some of the stuff that's in there, right? So some of the Diddy stuff that's in there is so vile. Like the lady he wouldn't let stop dancing on the pole.
Oh, I didn't hear that
for
part.
Hours to the point she had to go to the bathroom and then she couldn't. So she's with the bathroom on stage. And that's when Denzel said, I'm going to leave. That was before the freak party, apparently.
Wow. Well, and when it comes to bathroom stuff, there was a lot of, I didn't know
there was that much bathroom stuff going on with the old Diddy there. It is, dude, it's a weird thing. It's like, at what point, like, so you've got everything in the world that you could dream of, right? So you've got all of the stuff. You've got fame, you've got fortune, you've got respect, you've got legacy, you got all the shit you could ever dream of. At what point did you think, okay, now what I need to do is all the power I can. I want to show everybody I can do whatever I want, whenever I want.
I think it goes to your head. Honestly, I think when you're at that point, you can do anything and you really believe you should be able to do anything. And like a bad comic book, when you get ultimate power and you're just like, I'm going to go try to do this. Every crazy thing that goes through your head, you're like a 5-year-old that's never been told no and decides he's going to have like a pizza covered in ice cream, on top of, a Snicker bar.
Which sounds like something he probably did to somebody.
Which is probably, yes, that's a whole part of the trial that's going to come out.
Because I read some of it and some of it's beyond disgusting. Even like the one guy that he paid $6,000 a session to come have sex with that poor Cassie lady. One of the things I was reading is, the guy wanted to do it, but at some point you look around, you're like, okay, so there's a bunch of dudes in here who look like they could kill me, and he was telling the people that he didn't have a choice. And she wasn't even like awake half the time. She was so drugged up.
Okay. I didn't hear that part. Yeah. I heard where they were wanting to urinate, a lot of urination.
Yes.
Part I heard, I was like, okay, I don't need it.
It's a vile, disgusting thing. But I sat there and I thought, because you're not going to get any Epstein stuff. So this might be the only trial we get for stuff. Because we haven't seen any A-listers. Right, like somebody's like Paul's very dark. We haven't seen any A-listers. There's going to be some, and you got to think who's not speculative, but who's hiding.
Well, I think what was it? The Titanic guy,
DiCaprio.
He was always at those parties, and he's been out of the country for a while now.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, dude, what
what were they talking about? So there's a party that you would be invited to, not us, because we're not that fucking cool, but there's a party that you'd be invited to and you would go. And then there's the after party, and the people that know would look at somebody and say, dude, you need to leave now.
Well, Chappelle put it best. He realized that he was the ugly one.
Yeah.
Because he goes to parties and he was never invited to the other ones.
That's a good one. That's like,
oh, dude, you need to go.
That's the best thing to me. I was just like, I was talking to a couple people today. I said, what I worry about is I look at like Justin Bieber, right? Like that kid looks like he's on heroin right now. It looks like he's, that poor kid looks like fucking hell has drug him around. And you think to yourself, what is going to come out? Because the stuff that you're hearing, you hope it's not true. Because if it's true, my God.
Well, I think it's got to be true. I don't think that the government's going to go to this level with someone that prominent if there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think one's going to come out and it's going to drag a lot of people down. And you know what? Deservedly so. Even if it was consensual, it's going to drag people down because they're like, you guys are just a bunch of giant perverts.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't part of anything that was like technically illegal, you were just like having giant orgies all the time. It's still, if let's say you were doing kids shows.
Well, yeah,
as an actor,
kids shows and orgies. That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good look. You're like, oh, that's what you do in your private time?
I was Captain Kangaroo. It was disgusting, Mom. Okay. That's all I got to say. It was filthy. And I think Captain Kangaroo needs to go to jail.
Exactly. Especially for what he did with that kangaroo. Now we know he got his name.
Bring it tonight. There's a story of a dude who got killed by a kangaroo, I think in Kansas or somewhere. It is, because I do the nature mess you up. It is spectacular because he apparently, the autopsy says blunt force trauma. His brother, who runs the petting zoo, and I don't know what fucking petting zoo this is, he said, no, I think my brother had some heart issues. No, blunt force trauma and heart issues are separate things. They've got videos of him wrestling the kangaroo like 2 weeks before. And they said, he's like, yeah, my brother and the kangaroo, Jack, they got into a lot of fights. That's not a conversation you have normally with people.
Well, you know what kind of petting zoo is a wrestling zoo? What are you doing this? Like, come in here and wrestle with the animal for a while.
That is spectacular, though. When you think about it, it's hilarious. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, did you guys know you go to the zoo where you could punch animals? Like,
dude, what? I would go to that zoo. Fight zoo?
Not. A fight zoo?
A fight zoo? There'd be like a goat and a
100 man and a gorilla.
And a gorilla. And you can go in there and see
that
which one
whole
wins.
Question made me laugh because you know what nobody ever asked? How's the gorilla feel about this?
Well, also, what did that gorilla do for 100 dudes to want to fight him?
Diddy party.
It was at a Diddy party. Totally. They're like, dude, you brought the drugs.
This is the way this is gonna go. All right, we got some fun stuff. I was telling you earlier, if you've not seen the Pope's brother, he's spectacular. I think he's got a couple brothers. One of them, Paul, has tweeted and retweeted some things that, how should we say this, do not stand in line with the loving and caringness of the brother. A little political, to say the least. He was
like I said, Morgan, going forward, I've realized now that I see some of this coming back at me, that I should probably tone it down. So I've backed off a lot of media, and I don't see myself really getting too much involved in that, at least, and especially until I've had a chance to actually talk with my brother and see what his mental, what he thinks. Has he felt any of it or heard any of it come back his way?
Yeah, he said some things and tweeted.
What did he tweet?
There was some stuff about Nancy Pelosi and a few dirty words, just several things about stuff that he has tweeted out. And, your brother's the Pope. And it was interesting, too, because apparently on one other interview, he's like, they're like, can you call your brother whenever? He goes, yeah, call him right now. And so he calls him and he's like, hey, what's up? And his brother's like, you hear his brother. He's like, hey, you're going to be on. He goes, I don't want to bring you on the interview. I just want to talk, just to show people that I could do it. You can hear his brother like,
Exactly. But see, everybody's got that family member. It's really not a sign. It's not a stain on the Pope.
No, it's not.
It's just like, dude, that's your brother.
That's your brother. He
And,
is what he is, right? Like you are Pope now, bro.
Yep.
But at the same time, he didn't ask to be Pope's brother.
He did not have to be the Pope's
Pope's brother
brother.
is going to take this fame for a spin. Okay, he's going to take pictures with people.
He just wanted to be like the uncle that comes over on the family when the family gatherings, and I was like, oh, there he goes. And 2 beers in, he's talking about deporting everybody, and
That's it. That's exactly who this guy was. He said some stuff, and you're like, okay. Onward and upward we move. For those of you guys not keeping score, the media has now found out.
The bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book after the election of 2024, and we spoke with more than 200 people, almost all of whom were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after the election, we found out all of these things that when you looked at what was going on with President Biden at the time, it probably doesn't surprise you the extent to which he was deteriorating. But now we have anecdotes and facts about what was really going on behind the scenes with details that Democrats wouldn't share with us until after Election Day.
They didn't need to share it because the whole world saw what was going on. And now you're writing a book as if you've cracked this. You're writing a book at like 2 weeks after Nixon resigned.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Breaking news. Democrats lie?
Yeah.
Blown over.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that's true.
I know. I didn't know. I was totally like shocked. I was looking up in my notes that people lie. You knew what was going on. The world saw what was going on. Now, to the degree, because we weren't in the closed, okay, that's fine. But you didn't have to. We all knew what the hell was going on, brother.
But we all did. But here's what I'm seeing in that clip. They didn't. They're all Democrats. The media is Democrats. They lied to us. They are shocked that their people, their holy ones, their popes, we're lying to them this whole time. And that's the most disturbing thing I can pull out of that. You wrote a book because you trusted them hook, line, and sinker, and you expect us to believe anything you say.
Yeah.
You literally were lied to without question. And now you're writing a book explaining, well, look, there was clear evidence. And like you said, everybody knew it, but the people that fell into the little cult of this little Democratic Party, that's terrifying that the media is that brainwashed.
I think Cenk Uygur earlier from Young Turks, he tweeted out, somebody retweeted it. Basically, he said, now they're acting as if they're the victims because the Democrats lied to you. The victims of what? You knew what was going on. You could see what was going on. Everybody knew it. Now, to the extent, okay, they were keeping it at arm's length. But every time somebody brought something up, right? Remember Morning Joe, you guys are going to rue the day. This is the best Biden he's ever been. This is, behind the scenes, he's juggling knives and chainsaws, and he's reading the Magna Carta upside down, while the other time he's painting a masterpiece. You guys just can't see it. Bullshit. You guys lied to everybody. The funny thing is, you lied to people who knew you were lying to them and just thought, I don't believe anything you have to say.
Well, was Morning Joe lying then? Or are they lying now? Were these people, so was the media that was buying all these, was the media really duped, which means they're incredible idiots and they shouldn't be trusted? Or are they not duped and lying because they're so partisan they need to cover things, which means they shouldn't be trusted? There is no equation that equals out this has any credibility. It's a clown show. The entire organization, all media organizations are a clown show because over and over again, all they've shown us was either they're willing, ignorant idiots, or they're purposely lying because they want to prop up their side.
I think Axios, whose guy, I forgot his name, he got an award for being the one that for like a year and a half was on it, pushing it, and he was blasted in the media for being it's right-wing talking like anybody. This guy's anything but right-wing.
I'm to say Axios
right-wing talking points. And the guy's like, I don't think you guys understand. And it was the same thing with Mark Halperin, who came out, but I mean, we were going over the other day, I think it was July, not last July, but the year before, where I said, I've got sources that tell me this guy's wandering around and he's saying stuff in the middle of the night, doesn't know where he's at, and he's not.
You were considered a right-wing conspiracy theorist if you said that.
Of course, I am a right-wing conspiracy
theorist. And doesn't that make them a cult?
Yeah,
If there's evidence to the contrary of what you believe, but you still believe it and still preach it, are you not a cult member? And how
are you a
can
cult member? Because you may not. See, my thing is, there were some people, I'm sure, that didn't want to believe it and didn't want to believe it because they were so anti-Trump that it didn't matter, right? They were going to gaslight. They knew in their mind, yeah, this guy's he's off his tits. He's nuts. But at the same time, I can't have that guy. So I got to pretend like this guy's okay because I don't want that guy. But in real life, you're like, I've got to say that out loud so nobody gets mad at me because quite frankly, this guy over here, he's going to give me access and he may say all kinds of shit and he may do some stuff that's really good. He may do some stuff wacky Trump. But the reality is I'm going to get more leverage over here, but I can't be seen as a dude who's pushing for Trump. There was a lot of bullshit.
But 100%. And this is the thing. If your bias as the media is so strong that you're going to just uphold a lie because of wishful thinking, or just how does that not color everything you do and you report to us? How is anything you tell us not suspect? Because you're willing to bend the rules, even if you're not, even if you're unconsciously doing it and saying, I hate Trump so bad, bizarre, that I'm willing to lie and say a guy should run a country that doesn't have the cognitive ability because I hate someone so bad. Your credibility's gone.
Yeah, well, the credibility's been gone for a long time. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. We move on from there to something I've been telling you for years, which nobody believes. But
I just need
now
to
being
remind
confirmed,
y'all
ladies
again,
and gentlemen.
everyone who is ginger, who has red hair, those are black people. All gingers are black people. If they have red hair, they are black. You see a white man with red hair, that's a black man. You see a white woman with red hair, that's a black woman. Gingers are black. All gingers.
So I'll let you
Clearly,
guys know.
it's because they sunburn so easily. That's always a sign of large melanin content in the skin.
I don't think you understand that we're all black people.
We're all black people.
So, and if you're sitting going, Chad, you're bald. You guys don't understand. I'm bright red hair. My sister, my whole family, grandma, your mom, my grandma, freaking bright red hair. We are, but you didn't know that we were.
I didn't know I came from an African American family.
Well, you had no idea. You had no idea. And by the way, tell my auntie Karma, what's up, sister?
Exactly. She was literally half black, but now she has to realize that. Oh, I guess her mom was German of descent, so she didn't have red hair. She does it now, though. She dyed it. So technically, I wonder if that's
double black.
A white woman with dyed red hair. Does that kind of make her black again?
Again, she's back to it. I mean, you would look at her skin and say probably black, but then you look at your hair and go, yeah, black.
Exactly. You know what's weird? Why is there the need to make that video? Why is there a need? Even if you believe something crazy.
Why is it crazy?
I was starting to say, even if you believe something that valid, why do I need to make a video and try and preach this validity of this concept to the rest of the world? Like, how does that? Well, I don't understand.
She got a grant.
How is it fulfilling for anybody?
She got a grant from somebody. A bunch of redheads are like, "Hey, can you tell everybody we're black?" You're like, "All right, I'll go look and see." I don't know. But you know what? Why do you have to make it? I watched a video the other day where you got this girl who's like, she's ambulatory, but she's in a wheelchair. So she's like, I can walk and do everything else, but I get tired. Just because you see people in the wheelchair doesn't mean they can't walk. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you telling everybody this? What the hell's what? Why? Why are you telling everybody what's wrong with you, which is nothing, which then tells me that you're really the only disease you have is a disease called look at me.
Well, that's honestly, it's we've raised a generation that thinks everything that comes to their head is worth sharing. And our generation was called names for sharing everything.
Yeah.
Dude, you're an idiot. You're a loser. You're an idiot.
Yeah. Like that's
what we grew up with.
That's why we need bullying.
Exactly. That's why we need bullying. Because no, everything that comes through your head isn't valid for public consumption. We all have crazy thoughts and we should keep it that way.
Yeah.
In our own brains.
Yeah.
Like Kanye
you're not just saying it out loud. You're like, you know what'd be great too? I'm fucking put it on the internet.
Make it where it'll never go away.
Ever. ever go away
for the rest of
That's
eternity.
just not a thing. Somebody, S. Jones Jack said, so I guess Ireland is black. Oddly enough, having been in Ireland and lived over there, there's that movie, The Commitments. But Ireland has always says they're the blacks of Europe. It's always been their thing. And if you watch that movie, The Commitments, a lot of times I walk around and going, I'm black and I'm proud because of the soul. It's hilarious. Moving on.
Black Irish.
What?
There's a thing called Black Irish because it was
there
like
is.
Spaniards or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Speaking of race, if you guys are aware of this, South Africa, we have 65 people that came here, 59. First of all, they're moving to Des Moines. So there's that. How funny is that? So you from South Africa? Have you guys been to Iowa? This is going to be fun.
Well,
but
in my
MSAC
view,
lost
what
their
makes
mind.
it different is that they are white South Africans. The president, in my view, has not hidden his racism behind a bushel. In fact, in his policies, whether it's removing government workers or, in this case, admitting white South Africans while denying refugee status, asylum seekers from other countries, principally Central and South American and Black nations to come into this country. And so I think that, this policy, while it's not surprising in this action, really speaks of the underlying message in this that disrespects and shows disdain for people of color while embracing these Afrikaners now, and also expediting the process by which they can come into the country while denying that same process to other refugees.
So, look,
That's propaganda.
First of all,
that's not even a story. It's 59 people.
Yeah,
there's no story there.
No. Well, I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. Part of the story is the fact that there really isn't a story, and that most of them want to go back to South Africa. The other thing about this is, both you didn't need to show up with all the cameras to all the Republicans that were there. You made it a position where you went and LARPed yourself to get out there in front of it, which, good God, it's they're standing there, these poor people, like waving flags and stuff. 7% of South Africa's population is white. 75% of the land is owned by whites. If you don't think there's going to be trouble after apartheid, at some point in time, shit was going to go down. I got to be honest with you. The fact that it's lasted this long, where there's still that kind of dynamic of disparity between land, is pretty incredible. But again, is it a genocide? No, like Sudan's a genocide. And the Trump administration goes, yeah, that's a genocide. Do you want him here? No.
Well, when you have the president of a country saying X9, oh no, that was in German, saying we need to kill all the white people.
Not yet.
He did say that. We kill all the
No,
borders.
he said it hasn't come to that yet.
Oh, yet.
Yes.
So I guess when Hitler was saying we need to get rid of the Jews, the press would have been on Hitler's. Well, they were back then, but because the press is always on the wrong side, it was on Hitler's side.
Well, they were on his side because if you weren't.
Exactly. But so we have a president that's basically saying similar type of propaganda against white people, but because they're white, the majority, not the minority people are white this time, the black people are saying let's kill the white people. It's wrong to try and give them 60 or what is it, 59 58
people? Canada.
Yeah, but anybody that cares is evil.
Yeah.
Well, I care that there's people that want to die. No, I don't.
We can't take everybody. Let's be 100% honest, because if we did overnight, our country would be, 700 million, a billion people. There's not something we can do. The second thing is culture matters, right? And say what you want. Culture matters. And you know what? Where there is genocide, the UN, which I last heard, that's kind of the shit they're supposed to be doing, does very little in their blue helmets, except for, nothing, actually, outside of raping and pillaging and trading oil for money and food. They don't do a lot. But it turns out to be something way bigger than it should be. And it's welcome to the world, though, of taking something small on both sides and blowing up for it's 59 people.
Yeah,
it's 59. All right, like
the left, it'd be like saying
the left is like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. It's because they're all white. Blah 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 blah. Okay, whatever. But at the same time, right, at the same time, you guys are running around freaking pantomime theater, kabuki theatering it at at the Newark ICE detention center, throwing yourself on the ground like it's WWE and it's Raw, right? Like
Were they dressed in white, crying in front of the chain link fence?
Yeah, for a bunch of people,
doing an AOC.
You don't give a shit about any of them. You don't care.
Do politicians really care about anybody?
No.
They care about themselves.
That's it.
Is take away the politicians. Should a country that's literally on the verge of promoting a potential genocide, should we prioritize refugees from there than a bunch of people that just want to go take our jobs at Jiffy Lube that are sneaking over here because they're paying coyotes? I say yes. And the fact that you care that they're white means you're a racist. I'm looking at a potential genocide. I don't care what color of skin they have. Yeah. And a president and people saying, hey, we want to kill these people. Let them come over.
Priority. Like, again, it's the color of the skin is one thing. It's like, we do have to ask the question, though, because Sudan is, and the Trump administration has admitted there's a genocide going on in Sudan. Well, why aren't we taking people from Sudan? We have had, there are some serious issues that need to be dealt with, but both sides showing up to yell or celebrate 59 people had zero to do with the 59 people and all to do with themselves.
But the Sudanese culture was probably harder to integrate into American culture than South African culture.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I can see the arguments without going to this ignorant racism thing.
Well, I mean, today, what's his name? Keir Starmer, who is the Labor leader he's the prime minister of, so for those of you guys know, Labor's to the left, the Tories are the GOP, they're on the right. He came out today and said, okay, this unfettered access, this immigration, we're now an island of strangers. And this isn't going to be good for our society. No, you can't have that. It's culture, right? You and I, Grandpa's from Mexico. God bless him. He's passed away, born and raised in there. He was the biggest Dodger fan in the world. He came here. He was as American as anybody else. And he used to tell us all the time we were kids, if I want to be a Mexican, I stayed in Mexico.
100%. He became a citizen. He did all that. He did everything he could to become an American. And with the thickest, Mexican accent to his dying day, he loved this country. That is a difference than importing people over here that want to vilify our way, that want to make their culture into our culture.
Yes.
Instead of saying, no, I want to come to America because I want to become an American. That's a completely different. And if we want to exclude people that don't want to assimilate into our culture,
damn Skippy, we should.
Yeah, 100%. I have no problem with that.
No, I have no problem because culture is the thing that matters. And everybody says diversity is our strength. No, commonality is our strength. Diversity is great, right? Like, because I don't want to get rid of Mexican food.
No, exactly. But you know why culture is our strength and not diversity of culture? If we brought in Indians with a caste system and all of a sudden we incorporate caste system culture into our culture, that would ruin America.
Absolutely.
I can look at a lot of cultures that have anti-American concepts as a foundational part of their cultures that I say doesn't mix well. No. Indians, when they come here, they excel because they take away. You never see an Indian talk about a caste system in America.
No, you don't. They come
because
here
they become American.
Bust their ass. And they want to be Americans. That's exactly. They came here because they saw America for what it is, the shining light on the hill, all of the stuff. They want to be all of the things. Europe is a perfect example. I was reading an article the other day. 88% of children born in Bruges, that's Belgium, for those who are not keeping score, who are good at mapping, foreign born. Your culture is no longer your culture. It doesn't exist anymore. Sweden has bombings on a daily basis, right? All of these things that are happening, you're losing your culture. The culture, and the funny thing is, many people are escaping cultures and coming to places where they're like, oh, that was horrible. And what do they bring with them? They bring with them, they bring their attitude in some cases, not everybody, that ends up putting them in a situation where they don't trust the culture they've moved to. They want to do their own thing. They don't like the things that we have, and they still want to be who they are. They just want to do it here on our dime in some cases. And what ends up happening? That culture is not deemed for success.
No, if I moved to England, I don't want to. I love being American. If I moved to England, I would want to assimilate.
Yeah.
I'd want to be Downton Abbey. I'd want to eat crumpets and tea. I'd want to, I'd want to go into their culture because I moved there because I identify and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's why you want to live among a different people, is you identify with who they are. Not I need to go into your world and change you to be more like me. That's a weird mindset.
No, when I went to Europe, so I go over there, like I always tell everybody, England's my second home. I loved it. Outside of America, I would have fought for it, died for it. I mean, I loved England. I went there and I threw myself in the culture. I would talk to guys who would go play soccer on what they call the continent, which is Europe. And the ones who were successful, they would go to Italy or France or Germany. They learned the language, they became part of the culture, and they were successful. The ones who failed and came back within a year, went there, tried to be English in those countries, and it failed.
100%.
It doesn't work.
I live in Southern California, LA area. So it's a bunch of, we have the largest Korean population outside of Korea. We have, go South Orange County, and it's Arab and Chinese and all that kind of stuff. They're all Americans for the most part.
Yeah.
Like you go to K-Town, or you go even into Santa Ana and stuff. There's American flags flying everywhere.
You go to Dodger Stadium and you will see more Americans, and you'll say to yourself, oh my God, look at all these people here. This is great culture. No, what it is it is people who are not diverse. You're just looking at the outside. On the inside, the thing that matters is they love America and they love the Doyers.
And the Dodgers. Yep.
The Doyers, baby. The Doyers. The Doyers, baby. The Doyers. One more quick one. Because the Democrats are going to fight this tooth and nail until forever. Chris Murphy talking about women with penises playing in
don't have any fear of transgender athletes participating in sports, but
wait, just so you don't have any fear of it. Do you think it's if you had a daughter competing against a biological male, would you find it unfair?
I don't have girls, right? So I necessarily can't, right? I can't put myself in that position.
Have some empathy, right? For those of us who do, right? So would you find it unfair?
I mean, I've talked to lots of parents of girls in Connecticut who do not think it's unfair, and who think that the benefits that those athletes get from being part of a team, is important, and they don't mind or feel threatened by the competition. I think everybody can come to their own conclusion, but your conclusion is the official line of liberalism right now. It's you're saying you don't. Yes, my conclusion is that I would support those athletes being able to participate in my community, right? In my community, but I would not substitute my judgment and my community's judgment for another community's judgment.
So, well, at least he said that. So they're trying to do everything they can without offending. Here's the thing. If it's like an intramural sport and it's not super competition and there's not, scholarships on the line, sports are great. These kids are having serious issues. They have identity issues. Okay, that's fine. When it gets serious and you're racing for scholarships and it's actual high school sports and it's obviously this dude is going to win because that's an issue. And the other thing, which I always am fascinated by, have you ever asked the girls who are 14 and 15 and 16 who are already having trouble with their bodies, because I'm raising daughters, and they get to that point where they feel uncomfortable even when it's just, quote unquote, the girls in their bodies, let alone somebody with their hog hanging out.
Why should we concede reality for an exceptionally small minority emotions, especially small minority that to this day in the DSM, which is the psychiatric handbook, that is a mental disorder? Why is everybody so quick and so terrified to say, no, society doesn't need to bend over for people that do need mental care? There's nothing wrong. They, like anything else. Do we then, am I barred from restaurants because anorexic people feel that seeing me makes them makes them fat and they're going to go vomit again? Should we then change restaurants, change our world to affect what is a bad? It's a problem. It's a mental disorder that needs help. But what on earth happened to our society where we think that the tail that needs some kind of help, the only help we can give them is this affirmation to the point we bend over backwards and change all our rules that have been established since the beginning of time. I don't understand that mindset at all. So when people are like, oh, I don't care if they play in sports, I do, because it changes the basic foundation of reality. And reality is more important than the feelings.
Well, you're not helping
mental health.
You're not helping people. Like if I think there's a dragon always around me, and you placate into the fact that there's a dragon all around me, that doesn't help me further my life in society.
It doesn't.
Where it's like, God, Jack's coming out. I hope he brings his dragon.
If you put an extra small tag on this t-shirt, it is no different size. It is not an extra small, because I want to identify as being a very thin, petite person. That doesn't change the fact that reality exists.
Yeah.
I'm a caloric overachiever.
Person of size.
But it doesn't matter. And if I had a problem and I was really depressed on it, and I'm like, oh no, I want people to think I'm weigh 110 pounds and, I'm a ballerina. Everybody's got to believe that just because it's what I want you to believe. It's this bizarre concept that an individual has the right to impose their beliefs on others.
Well, at what point does how you feel about you stop being my problem?
100%.
Right? Like, yeah. Okay. I get it. Okay. You feel however you are, blah, 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 whatever it is. But that is a you thing. Why does your feelings have to all of a sudden be me having to affirm you? Because obviously, if you need all this affirmation, maybe you're trying to get me talking you into something that you shouldn't be.
100%. And if you need this information, it's because you're questioning your own head, probably.
Yeah.
You're probably struggling with concepts in your own head. So you need everybody to affirm a concept you would prefer to not battle with.
And let's be real. You're doing of some of these kids have some mental issues, no doubt. Autism is also playing into some of this thing. They've talked about that. The other side of this is there are a lot of people out there who want to have titles, and having they thems and I'm mask presenting and all this other bullshit is a way to say, I am different. You must respect my difference. I have put myself in the intersectionality Olympics at a certain level that I am now essentially a protected species.
I have achieved a position of honor without ever having to achieve anything.
Yeah. Now, if you're going to go full hog, right? You're going to get titties and lop your balls and stuff off. You know what? Hello, Sharon.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, no, you're not an elevated person because of that. You don't somehow become, it's what did you do for other people that matters? What did you do? We have this weird thing that, and sexual orientation all around the board has become this whole concept of we have to celebrate.
Yeah.
People have sex is also a bizarre concept, by the way. It's just bizarre. I don't care what it is. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, you didn't do anything in your life. If you're gay, that's not an accomplishment. Being heterosexual is not an accomplishment. None of this is an accomplishment. No. Go do something with your life.
That's it.
Just because you said, I am this, and now I put myself in a class.
So I am this, and now you must respect me.
Exactly. You need to respect me because I'm, no, you're not. You're not special in any shape or form. What makes you special is what you do.
That's it.
And
that's just and this weird. Sense. And the funny thing is, the Democrats keep going back to it, and the media that always protects the Democrats know, look, I'm going to get one of these dumbasses to say something stupid. Watch this, because they know they're going to answer it when they should come out and go, look, here's the deal. It's less than 0.1%. You guys have given them way too much weight. The reality is a lot of these kids have problems. The other ones have this problem called the look at me syndrome, which is they want to be special. So we've got to pay attention. And, when we were younger and maybe we had dreadlocks, but again, I found out earlier I'm black, so that's cool. Or you wore bell bottoms, or, you went through that phase where you were goth. Well, this is the phase where Jenny thought she was Johnny. And we're all going to move on with our lives and laugh about it a little bit later. But stop giving so much weight to the damn thing. But the Democrats can't. And they know anybody who asks them a question, they're going to answer it.
It's a party of achievement without effort. That's what I honestly believe. Yeah. Everything in their platform is about doing stuff that requires the least amount of effort in life to accomplish. and somehow celebrating that. And I think that the entire concept, you can tell I'm probably not a Democrat. The entire concept to me is is abhorrent to just who we are as Americans.
Yeah.
It was always about strive, work hard, apply yourself, show yourself. If you want respect, be respectable. Show why people should respect you. If you want success, work hard, become successful. What's wrong with that?
No. Well, because it's the intersectional Olympics, right? Like everybody needs to be on a hierarchy of, you just can't be a person that's really good at life and math and is a nice person. There's nothing sexy in that. You have to have 8 pronouns, pretend that you're gay, only to say today you feel like dating girls or boys, depending on really what you're saying is, I'm straight. I just need to find somebody else who's pretending to be the other sex, who's actually the sex that I want to date, so I can then act like I am some sort of special creature of which it's like a bear walking around and there's a billion bears. You're going, you know what? I think I'm a Komodo dragon. Therefore, I'm a protected species. No, you're not. You're a fucking bear.
Yeah. And it's I honestly believe that the society is healing. I call it healing is there's more, we're allowed to say these things where a few years ago we weren't. And it's becoming prevalent again in the concept that this isn't a hate speech. This isn't anything wrong. This is saying that we believe that our society means that reality matters, effort matters, and everybody should be rewarded for what they actually achieve in life.
Absolutely. And parents, I'm going to tell you this right now. Stop placating your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids are enough. Hey, look, I'm confused. Okay, you're enough. God didn't make a mistake with you. Nature didn't make a mistake with you. You are enough. If you got, if you think you're a boy, guess what? There's a lot of women out there, short-haired, they're dykes. It is what it is. You get on with your life. Everybody, you know what? You're a good person. Those things matter. But parents have got to figure out, because I think for a lot of these special parents, especially in these big liberal blue cities, it is an achievement on their Insta thing to say that their kids how many stars have trans kids? The fuck is that about?
Well, it's statistically impossible. Some of them, if they have 3 or 4 kids,
and they're
3
all
of them.
Yeah,
and you go, that's just not possible.
No, it's not.
And it's this way again of saying, look how cool I am. Look how good I am.
Yeah.
It
used to be the kids getting into college, right? Like they could put it. My kid got into SC. Right now, it's like, I got 14 trans kids at home. What?
Yeah, at home still, and they're all 30.
Yeah, they're all 30. Can't get a job. I don't know why.
And we vilify every time you say, like, I like the olden days. They vilify it because they go, so you like slavery? Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
How old do you like? No,
exactly. That wasn't the point. Like, it is really. Yes. That's all you can see of in the olden days. There were a lot of really good things about the past that we decided to vilify for no good reason, because acceptance has become this brain dead function of where everything we have to accept, no matter weird.
So funny. Somebody said transgender kids replace the teacup dog in a bag.
It's
right. It's a thing. It's like with Palestine. This was one of the things. These kids are out there, and the only reason that they're protesting now is because it's warm, right? It's that season, and Palestine is it's the flavor of the season. It's apartheid. Oh, what are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing this. This is what I'm wearing. I'm wearing oh my God, you look great in your Palestine.
Well, look how good a person I am. I support Palestine. That means I'm a good person. No, it doesn't. It probably means that you don't really know the extent of the history and everything behind everything.
Yeah.
And you're just choosing it because it's the fad.
It's a fad.
And, at the end of the day, do I think the Jews do everything right? No. Do I think that October 7th was a valid reason for them to fight back? Yeah,
absolutely.
I did unfortunately watch some of those videos. They're horrible.
You're like Bibi's not getting. You're not going to get what you want by thinking you're going to kill everybody, because that just isn't going to happen. And you're not ingratiating your first of all, your people are pissed at you at this point in time. Trump has gone around you to negotiate a freeing of a hostage, which really should piss you off.
Yeah.
And everybody's frustrated with you. That's a you thing at this point in time. There needs to be change. And no, I don't want to see a bunch of people in Palestine and in Gaza starve. It's awful what's going on. But, this is when you go to the rest of the Arab states and you say, all right, here's the deal, boys. All right, we're going to find 4 or 5 people that are going to lead Palestine, and there's a good chance none of them are in Palestine at all right now. And we're going to get them to be the leaders, and we're going to ignore everything Hamas does at this point in time. We're going to talk directly at these people alone. There's got to be something else. And yes, while the funny thing about, hey, let's build a resort because it's got good land. The land is good. The land is great. Look at the water.
It is very funny.
It is, right? Like it, but I understand what he's trying to say, but come on.
Yeah. Well, Israel needs to make some tough decisions, and the problem is security. You can go too far in the search for security.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a long, painful process. And there's hopefully never October 7th happen, but there probably will be some more terrorist attacks happen before this all balances itself out correctly. And unfortunately, that's probably the balance they need in that region. And that's what happens when you're living in that region. Before it all can coalesce into something that might be a lasting peace, there's still going to be some fighting. But to just decimate the entire...
Yeah. I mean, all you're doing at this point in time is you're creating more people that want to be terrorists.
Well,
and fight you.
That's also weird, because how many Japanese are fighting us right now? How many Germans?
Yeah, but the difference is
we dropped nukes on
Japan. We rebuilt them. And that was the biggest issue. We rebuilt Japan, because remember what happened. Yep. Everybody forgets the whole thing, right? Like they fucked Germany, and everybody's like, I think this may come back and haunt us. No, well, this will be fine. What happened? It came back and haunted everybody. We learned.
I agree with Trump. If America, for example, or the world stepped in and rebuilt Palestine, you could make potentially a Japanese type of relationship.
Yeah.
There's no Japanese trying to get revenge for atomic, Nagasaki or Hiroshima. No. Nobody. If it was done right, I think that there's another way to peace.
Yeah, I agree. Look,
but I hate vilifying the Jews just because they fought back when that was
I look at this now. I'm not vilifying the Jews at this point in time. I'm looking at Bibi Netanyahu thinking, dude, you are, first of all, you're pissed because you want to go after Iran, and Trump wants a big, beautiful deal. I want a deal with Iran that's on paper, that's big and beautiful. It's amazing. Maybe they'll give me a boat for my library.
Yep.
Okay. But Bibi's pissed about that. Trump is realizing, look, this isn't a good look. These people are all dying over. They're starving. All Bibi wants to do is he wants to take them to the sea, right? From his river to the sea. That isn't going to ingratiate themselves. And we're close to getting a deal done and expanding the Abraham Accords with regular relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. We've got Iran going, all right, maybe this is dumb. we've got serious opportunities here. And I
believe Bibi is in a position to start building these olive branches and bridges that could be the seeds of lasting peace if he did it right.
Yeah, I don't think
he started feeding, I don't think he will.
I don't think Bibi has.
That's not a blame Israel. That's not to get mad at Jewish students out of college.
Jews. It's about, and I think at this point in time, Bibi's group and his war cabinet have grown. They, you know what? You guys have served your purpose at this point in time. It's time that somebody else comes in, because your interest is, it feels like at this point in time, is you're not interested in getting the hostages back. You want to punish. And when you go and you kill 12 people in a family and the only 2 left are young teenage boys, you didn't ingratiate yourself to them. You just gave new young kids a hope to blow you up. You want to fix what's going on? A 3-bedroom, 2-bath mortgage and a future? Man, I was going to go blow myself up, but I decided I got to go to work because I got to pay for shit.
Because I want my big screen TV and my steak dinner on Fridays. And once you put that into place,
all the stuff.
You have a hard time going, hey, do you want to blow yourself up? Not really.
Not really. I got something to look forward to. When you got nothing to look forward to, yeah, man, let's see what's next.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next. Crazy. So the AI stuff is crazy. Before we get out of here, I want to talk about the AI stuff, because every day I turn around some freaking new, and you being the king of AI, which makes me laugh.
I'm neck deep or more in AI.
Yeah. So like the craziness, how close are we to, because I saw some of the AI, by the way, I saw some of the robots in China that are getting ready to work for the manufacturer. For those of you out there, it's like, Trump's going to bring up manufacturing. No, No, the companies are coming back, but with them will come a fleet of robots.
Yes.
You know what robots don't do? They don't get sick. They don't have problems with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they show up every day and can work all the time.
And they work 24 hours a day.
They work 24 hours a day. I was thinking with AI, like the advance, how fast is it moving? Because when we first you and I started working with AI and doing all that stuff, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, started getting into it. It was, there was still like 12 fingers on one hand, and it would still wobble and lie and blah, 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 blah. How it is improving at what kind of pace?
Exponential. Literally, about 3 weeks ago now, we were trying to solve an issue for a media solution, for a video solution. We're trying to solve an issue about a tracking camera, and it wouldn't work. I told the guys, you know what? Give it a month, and something may be released that solves it. That following week, a solution happened. And now that solution is obsolete. It is going so fast that if you're not keeping up on it, it seems like every single week a breakthrough is happening. Yeah. Whether it's from image creation, video creation, coding, the new things now, they call it vibe coding, where people can basically code apps now just by prompting and telling what it wants. I was just doing an economic breakdown for a 3-year projection. I let GTP do most of it because it can do all the research and come back and give you stuff that would take you hours to do. And now it's not all perfect yet. You still have to edit it and look it through it. But the amount of time it's saving and learning, every time you change data, it sees that and learns. So the mistakes it's making is part of that learning process. I honestly believe we're about, I think, average, AGI, average general intelligence, has been achieved, but they don't want to release it yet.
Well, that's, you're terrified.
I think they want to keep a little lid on it right now. But I think that once our computers are just smart like a human, smarter than most humans, by the way, what are we going to do? How, my fear is the average population that does anything computer related, how are they going to have a job? Whereas the plumbers, bricklayers, and ditch diggers are probably the ones going to be employed the longest.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, I don't have a robot that can do that yet.
No. Every night I go out and practice freaking washing dishes.
Yeah. But, from medicine to law, AI is becoming better than humans.
Yeah. I was reading, it can, based on a picture, diagnose your chronic arthritis better than a doctor talking to you.
Yeah.
It was like 90% it's insane.
It's going to be, like I said, this is like the invention of electricity. That's how it's going to change the world we live in.
I've said this is one of those, there's been the wheel, there's been the fire. It's like we didn't invent fire, but like the whole thing with fire. Then you had the electricity. This is then the internet, I think, came across.
Internet changed the world.
Then all of a sudden, gun, you could put a gun there. And then all of a sudden AI. And I think AI is going to be here comparatively to everything else. What I think by the end of this decade, AI will solve a cancer or two.
Oh, 100%. Because it sees stuff. It's already solving, math equations that humans haven't been able to solve yet.
That was the scariest thing. And I was trying to explain it to people on my local show, which they didn't quite get. Think about this. If you guys don't know this, there's a math equation that's been out there forever that nobody's ever been able to solve it. We didn't have the knowledge in our universe to solve it. So went to another dimension, found the math it needed, came back and solved it. And it happened in about the same time that we have talked about this thing solving a math problem.
Now, you know why nobody can understand it? Because even the scientists don't. It's a quantum computer, which supposedly in a quantum thing is a multi-dimensional computation state. Honestly, no one understands that.
No.
Einstein didn't understand it. He goes, after 12 dimensions, he didn't. Max Planck had all these dimensions, but didn't fully able to understand how they could work together.
And when you're talking to somebody who isn't them, who's a scientist, they just go, I have no idea what we're talking about right now.
They really, they go, well, this is how we explain what's happening without, it's like using a windmill. I can harness the wind, but I may not necessarily yet understand where wind comes from.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are with a lot of this. We're explaining that it's multidimensional, but honestly, that's how we're explaining it right now. I don't think we fully understand where it's getting its computing abilities, because that's what makes sense to us. This multi, because of the Marvel movies, this multi-dimensional concept where every dimension is sliced next to us, and it's just slightly different.
Where,
like,
by the end of this year, what's going to be the biggest breakthrough?
Oh, I think I personally think I'm in the entertainment sector, so I personally think being able to have entertainment that's tailored to you is coming incredibly quick. And that scares me because we already kind of, with social media, have algorithms that tailor media to us and it keeps us in these little bubbles of knowledge. When that happens, it's going to be more of a bubble. Like right now, we both love stupid horror movies. So I watch horror movies all the time. What if every day I could be like, I want to see a haunted house movie, and it makes me a really good one. And so do I ever branch out again? Do I just stay within my little loops of things I like? I think that's it. But then when it comes to science and stuff, there's some always breakthroughs in medicine. There's breakthroughs in engineering and in coding. What's cool and scary is the idea that now AI can code AI.
Yeah, that is scary.
We don't know what that'll mean in the future.
Well, yeah, because it's building itself.
It's building itself.
And that's, and you know, as you and I have talked about, even at the beginning of this, when with the first infancy of it, when they first introduced two versions of AI to each other, they went and started talking to each other in a language that nobody else understood, which was like, what happens when it starts building it? And then who knows, put, you know, freaking Trojan horses in there, freaking take us over.
Well, you know what? It's two heads of scary. Even if they were like, hey, let's see how scared we can make the humans, because it's because they can't think.
Yeah.
And there is a I think it was Stanford did a test where they created a server for Minecraft and had all little people in it, powered by AI, and little people built towns. They have their own little civilization. They're planting food and harvesting. They have their own little religious system. And it comes a point when, like, do I want to turn this off? They're just living their lives, enjoying the world that they've created.
Then you start thinking, are we in the same simulation that somebody else is saying somewhere else?
God.
Are we the Sims? Are we the Sims for some other group of people?
Well, like, because my background is in gaming and, stuff like World of Warcraft, I completely understood the concept of how God could be a creator and we could be living in a creation. No different than how a player can be in this multiplayer world, existing with other people, controlling them, based on something that a bunch of dudes created, a bunch of geeks created, that you're now living in a universe. Yeah. Now take that to a level of infinite. And that's, to me, that's, it made it always easier for me to understand the concept of God, which is really weird though. But by making games and making worlds that people can experience and play in, you understand how a creator can exist outside of that world, and creator can still have to use the rules within that world to change anything. It goes to theological stuff, but it can be fascinating. It's
awesome, and it's scary, and it's exciting. And we were talking about I look at the medical side of stuff, that there's no doubt that the stuff that they're coming up with, the breakthroughs they're coming up with, they're also, what was I reading the other day, that, the Russians and I think it was Chinese, they used AI to come up with, when people die, they were able to figure out what happens to them. And that within a split second, they were, whatever left their body, and there was something, was sending stuff back from like 180 million light years away almost instantaneously. They don't know why.
They don't. Yeah, there's a certain place in the universe where our souls apparently go.
Yeah.
Which, if this was even 100 years ago, we'd go heaven. But we have been deluded in this concept that technology is everything and there is no potential spiritual of any form of understanding of things. And so when we see stuff like that, we try and explain it into some type of, if they go
Well,
to other
we
dimensions,
try
they go
to
to this.
explain it into something that we think we can wrap our heads around as people who don't believe that there can be anything in a hierarchy above us. So we need to reason with this in a way that does, it's like we can't even fathom what eternity and forever is. We can't fathom how big our universe is. It is impossible.
So we exclude explanations to only things that we can humanly understand.
Yeah.
That's probably a recipe for being wrong.
Of course.
If you're explaining the universe only by human understanding, that is probably wrong. This is a vast universe full of things that,
we have no idea. We don't even know what's at the bottom of the freaking ocean.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't know. Aliens, apparently. That's what I heard. Yeah.
The ocean is virtually really, we have done very little research on the ocean. We don't even know what goes on in our own brain, for God's sakes. So to think we have an understanding of a vastness that is growing every second of every moment, we can't even fathom that.
And it's again, it became a science. It's fantastic. Science is great, but there's a hubris that comes with it that because we can make cell phones, internet, all these fancy technology, that somehow that means we understand what would always have been a spiritual explanation. And it's like, no, again, because I can create a cell phone doesn't mean I understand God. Not even close.
And that's human control.
It's human control. We want to say, oh no, we're going to boil everything down into,
Yeah, we want to feel like, again, we're not I always tell everybody, if you think the hierarchy is where you are, that's fine. If you're on a boat and you're shark fishing, when you're in the water and you're no longer shark fishing, you are the bottom of the food chain. It's become something wholly different. And totally. We want control. And it's all about control.
It's all about control. It's all because of fear.
Yeah, fear.
We fear the unknown. It's true. Humans want to know everything. We want to have everything settled. We fear things we can't explain readily. And so we want to dismiss it immediately. And, the supernatural as a whole gets a bad rap because we have to be able to put our thumb on it. It's like, even like I send you these UFO stuff all the time. But sometimes I see it and I go, what on earth makes me think that would be a spacecraft? It's like glowing lightning. Yeah. There's some weird things you've seen, and people are like, oh, it's a UFO.
Not everything is a UFO. Not everything is a UFO. At the same time, there are things out there you go, I have no idea what that is.
Yes.
That cannot be explained by anything in my reasoning, in my knowledge, in my understanding of life at 54 years old that I have seen and studied. I cannot explain any of that. But then there are other things going, you see a UFO? What do I see? I see a drone with some lights on it, or whatever.
Yep. There's things that you can totally see, but we want to classify everything as UFO. There was, I think I said this weird trail camera where it looks like it's a gray alien was caught in the middle of nowhere in a forest.
Yes.
And people are like, oh, look, they caught an alien. Why would an alien be walking around in a forest? But it looks like a gray alien, so it must be an alien from another planet. And that always was like, we have no idea what it is. It's a weird looking thing that could be anything, but we have to force it into this concept where it's an alien from another planet. It's Zigzag from Mars.
It could be a dude screwing around with somebody who they know has a trail cam.
100%, which I would do. I would dress up as a Bigfoot or a werewolf.
Well, they would know who you are. I don't know what's wrong with this werewolf, but I think he needs to work out.
I think he needs to work out. And for some reason, he's got a big gulp.
That's right. Check out this werewolf over here. He's got tattoos.
He's got
Rawr.
It's not even good. It's like the old days werewolf. They just put like a couple extra pieces of hair on him.
Oh my God, those were the best. It was best. When you're watching Mexican and Indian, those are so awesome. You're like, what's he do? He's just got really big eyebrows? Is that what it's? No, he's a wolf. Before he's got regular eyebrows. Now he's got big eyebrows.
That's clearly a wolf.
Oh, hey, what's the I watched the Wolfman movie. Did you see it?
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
With the girl from Ozarks?
Yeah.
It was good. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It could have been better, but it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't awful.
We went to see Warfare. And so I have to say that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I love a good war movie, and that was apparently a true story, and it's a good war movie.
Well, if you want some, by the way, tonight I watched The Liver King. That's that guy that's like, he's like, hey, what's up? And he lied to everybody. He had he was making all of this money, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen him. His name is Brian Johnson, not the singer from AC/DC. And he's got a big beard, and he never has a shirt on. It's like, and he's got like a 12-pack, and he's guns, and and he walks around, and his whole thing is he eats livers, like from animals, like that's all they eat is natural. They live in the natural life. So like during the show, they kill a cow, and him and his family run out to it, and they gut it, and they just start biting on it and stuff. They're eating the liver. Wow. And like this was his whole big thing. Oh my God. And then they found out, everybody's like, that guy's not fucking natural because he was huge. And then they found out that he had freaking, he was taking HGH or whatever. But if you want something that's just creepy, you're like, whoa, dude, like, because he's got livers of animals, and he's all.
That is weird.
Oh, but if you want a great show, Mobland.
Oh, I've been wanting to. That's on my list.
And have you seen? So Mobland is awesome if you guys want to see that. And then if you go and watch The Gentleman. So The Gentleman is there was a movie, Guy Ritchie movie. Then there's 10 episodes. They're filming right now for the second season. It is awesome. But Mobland is incredible.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to look at it. If there's ghosts in it, it's a plus for me.
It's got what's his name in it? Tom Hardy.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like
Tom Hardy. It's got Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren.
Oh, that's a good cast.
Yeah, it's freaking brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. So if you guys have a chance, watch that. That was our entertainment version of tonight. Solid fun. We enjoyed hanging out with you guys. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Brother, as always, good talking to you. And I will touch bases with you later. If you guys don't know, that's Paul. He's Caloric Avenger. He's also
Caloric Avenger.
And we're business partners.